Hey guys, it's your boy, it's your king, it's your champion, back for a brand new video. You know who I am, I'm Zayat. And today, I'm getting a call. Give me a sec. It's just my attorney. They want to do a Fortnite collab. Yeah, that's never gonna happen, only in my dreams. But we have a cool video coming up today. What if Deku had the golden touch, the Midas touch, the abilities of Midas? So sit back, get your KFC or McDonald's, and whatever you vegans eat it. Get your Diet Coke like me, and let's get straight into this. But just coming up, we have a quick little sub-race ad. Now it's time to officially declare, hoping Toby puts his video out today, the first ever sub-race that I'm a part of against Toby Big Thighs. Oh yeah, I'm sorry I called him that in the last video. His name's Toby Thee. So let's just get straight into this. 500 sub race coming up. Get me to 500, I get a new OC. If I lose, I'm officially judged. So don't know why I'm wasting any time to lose your attention. Let's get straight back into this video. Now let's get straight into this, as I just said, I think. Our story begins like any of my stories, guys. Izuku is born. Wow, it's a miracle. Young Midoriya is born. I wonder what would happen if Izuku isn't born. Hold on, what? I'm getting a what if idea. What if Izuku Midoriya wasn't born? We follow the story of young Hisashi Midoriya, who dreams to become a hero. Coming up soon. Anyways, as I was saying, Izuku is born, but in this timeline, he's not Izuku Midoriya. He's Izuku Yaoyorozu. He was the twin brother of Momo. He was the youngest child, but he grew up spoiled. He thought everybody was below him, and he had this idea that he was entitled to everything, and his parents even indulged him, boosting his ego. Whenever he wanted to do something, he was able to do it, with his parents not being responsible at all, or not making him responsible. And this led to his parents even starting to forget about Momo, and she became an afterthought. This led to Momomo. Nah, I'm joking, it's just Momo, to become a bit resentful of her little brother. Years later, when Izuku is 5, he unlocks his quirk at a jewellery store. The day of Izuku unlocking his quirk was an interesting one though. He was just about to buy a Rolex, but just as he touches that watch, it turns to gold. His father is shocked. He runs over yelling, My boy has a quirk of richness. Yeah, that's how you say the word. But just as he hugs Izuku turns him to gold by accident. He starts freaking out, crying, yelling, Dad, what happened to you? What did I do? He's having a similar reaction to Shigaraki after he killed all his parents and family. The entire store is shocked, people going up to the statue of his dad, knocking on it just to check if it's real. They were doing all that, but they could tell. Some of them were even gold testers, but they could tell at a glance. His father was real, pure gold. Suddenly, a nice old random grandpa, who I'll be saying is actually the grandpa of... Who's a funny character? Yeah, Minetta's grandpa. Crouches down to Deku, ruffling his hair, saying, Are you okay, kid? Are you able to turn him back? Come with me, kid. Let's try fix your pops. He holds out his hand for Deku, and when the hands connect, the old man also turns to gold. Someone finally calls the police, and when they arrive, they put Deku in quirk repressant handcuffs. He's sent to an interrogation room, but they send a doctor in just to take some of Izuku's blood. But when they pull the blood out with the needle, the blood is golden. This is an anomaly. They took the blood to find out what his quirk even was, and when the results came back, they found out his quirk would be able to turn anything to gold. But knowing that it was to do with his hands, they tie up Izuku's hands so he can't turn anything else to gold. They begin the actual interrogation, asking him what he did. Deku's just crying, asking for his parents. He eventually begins to speak, but he's just stuttering. He's just repeating one phrase. One touch, one touch, one touch. One touch, then gold. He has a wicked, sadistic smile on him, realizing what he can do. He says that with one touch, he is the richest. Suddenly, his mum and Momo walk in while he's laughing like Yagami on a good day. If you understand, you understand, people. And his mum is shocked while Momo goes to hide behind her leg. The police take his mum and Momo out of the room, not wanting them to see what their son has become. But since Izuku is just a child, they cannot convict him. They are forced to take Izuku home. His mum tells him, "There's a new TV in your room, sweetie, just go inside it." But as Izuku runs inside of his room, when he enters, his mum locks it from the outside. She says, "Once you can turn your father back to human form, boy, brat, you can leave this room." The room only has a bed, a door, and the door has a small hole so that food can go in, and a few random items for Izuku to turn to gold and maybe one day turn it back to a normal form. He's trapped in that room for years. Occasionally, his mum will slip some new items for him to turn to gold, usually only once he's run out of items that aren't gold. Since he spends so much time in there, he gets some more control over his crook. But then, we eventually get to a pinnacle day for young Midoriya. Around the age of 8, he figures out how to touch things without it turning to gold. This was incredible. He could finally eat food without using a fork. He could go back to eating his KFC the way he's meant to. Although he hasn't had KFC in years. Like 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. Because he's 8, yeah. But then, we just do a quick time skip of like 5 years, maybe 6 or 7 years, to when Izuku is 13. And one random day, when he's 13, he's holding a Rubik's Cube, right? And he's just throwing it up and down, lying on his really uncomfortable bed. But then, he starts breathing, slowly, deliberately, and then he keeps having one thought, back to normal. All other thoughts lose focus, and he just has one thing on his mind, turning that cube back to normal. Suddenly, the cube's golden form starts reverting from the inside out. He starts trying to do the same with other objects, but his mind is clouded, too focused on that one Rubik's Cube he managed to turn back to normal. Eventually, he locks back in like the goat he is, and he turns a tennis ball back to normal. He starts to scream, "It's possible! It's possible! It's fucking possible!" His mum sprints into the room with a cold face. She says, "What are you yelling about?" But for the first ever time, the door that had trapped Izuku since he was 5 and now he's 13, so what, 8 years, is open. But Izuku isn't an idiot. He's not some Rapunzel trapped in a tower. He's just a boy with a gold crook, trapped in a bedroom. He takes the chance. He sprints under his mum's arm. He keeps running for where the main door of the house is. He knows the place like it was yesterday, although he did only ever go around the house in a golf cart that his dad used to take him to. He keeps running for the main door. He looks back at his mum and says, "My old man can stay gold. You wanted me to stay in a room for 8 years just to set some old man free? You're so wet, Mum. He can stay gold and I'm out of here." He runs out saying, "I'm free. I'm finally free." But there's something in his head he knows he must do first. That old man, the one who just tried to comfort him when he had turned his dad to gold, he didn't deserve to be gold. And sure, neither does his dad. But after you're trapped in a room for years with the only goal trying to make an old man human again, you don't really care about the old man. So Izuku searches the city. He just walks. He's kind of got dirty clothes. He turns a few objects to gold along the way, like some random person's car. But yeah, until he makes his way to a Rolex store. But unlike the original Rolex store when he was 5, this Rolex store has 2 pillars on it. One with a man who looked like he was holding someone's arm. No, who was hugging someone. And one with a man who was holding someone's hand. This was Izuku's dad the moment he crouched down to hug Izuku, and the old man who tried to help Izuku. And he knows what to do. He climbs the pillar. It took him like a good bit because he hasn't climbed anything in years. He accidentally turns the pillar to gold since he lost focus. But he places his hand on the face of the old man and breathes in his own headscape. Then he goes into his own headscape. Then he turns the kind old man back to what he used to be. The old man's shocked. He's not gold anymore. He could still think while he was gold. For 8 years he was just stuck thinking. Like Senku. The only difference is the old man wasn't counting the time. He was counting the billions he had. After all, he was in a Rolex store. But just before the kind man can contemplate what happened, Izuku jumps down and says, "I'm so sorry, old man. Live your life now." And then he turns back to his dad, puts the middle finger up, and says, "Fuck you, Dad. You can stay gold." He's on his way home now. No, he's not on his way home now. He doesn't have a home. He's on his own now. But how do I say this? He's broke. So he starts grabbing random stuff and turns them to gold. Izuku turns even a football gold. And not this fake football you Americans play. I'm talking real football. The one Cristiano Ronaldo, Sui plays, and Lionel Messi. What you Americans call soccer. Yeah, we know you're weird. Anyways, so he goes to a pawn shop, selling the stuff he's been turning gold, just to make that moolah. He ends up paying in full for a small apartment in one day. He goes to the pawn shop 2 months later and cashes in all the gold items he's made. Like what? He made like a golden PC, a golden radiator, a golden Diet Coke, a golden skateboard, a golden basketball. Yes, I'm listing stuff around me. A golden headset. Like, he made so much stuff gold. And he cashes everything he's made for 20 million. Cause, how do I say this? Izuku doesn't understand that he might get caught for fraud. Cause his IQ is the IQ of a 6-year-old. Yeah, cause he's been in that same room for 5 years. No, since he was 5, with no education. And he starts using his apartment as a storage unit for gold. Because he bought an even bigger house, like a genius. He buys a mansion. He locks in and he learns how to make even bigger constructs into gold. But one day, the IRS come knocking. He's confused, not knowing who they are. He's sent to juvie for fraud. But one day, a hamster rat thing, I don't know, who is a principal, comes knocking. This hamster rat thing is Nezu, and Nezu has an obsession with getting money quick. Nezu frees Izuku, saying, "You're an ultimate money hack boy. I want you and your power. You're free for now, and your wealth is mine. You could become a powerful hero as well. But that's more like a side thought. I just want you for the money." And Izuku just goes, "Ah shit, here we go again." A few minutes later, when Nezu had left Deku to just get his stuff, Deku is picked up by a private jet by Nezu. But as he walks in, Nezu shuts the door in his face. No, just before he walks in, like as he's on the stairs, Nezu shuts the door in his face. And Nezu tells Deku, "Turn the private jet to gold first, and then you can come in." Izuku obliges, saying, "What a pain, what a drag." Nezu opens the door once he does it, and saying, "You missed a tiny bit of the jet. I guess your gold can't go that far yet." I'm sure the teacher will be able to work on it. The jet takes off, and during the flight, Nezu is just throwing items at Deku, just like how Izuku's mum gave him items when he was in the bedroom. PTSD coming! And Izuku is just contemplating as he's turning the items to gold. Then Nezu throws a tea mug at Deku. But just as he throws the tea mug, the jet crumbles, because, well, it's made of gold. The systems, the engines, they don't work as gold. And the jet goes crashing through... Hold on. Oh yeah, this happens right over the number 2's heroes agency, Endeavor. And as Nezu and Izuku are falling, they're saying, "No, my favourite tea mug is going to be destroyed," Nezu says. They crash into the roof, falling through every floor of the agency. Endeavor just watches this happening, wondering, what the fuck is going on? Endeavor jumps down to the bottom floor, saying, "What the fuck have you done?" Then he sees Nezu and says, "Of course it's you." And then he says, "Do you know how much this will cost, Nezu?" And Nezu just grins and asks, "How much will it cost then?" And Enji says, "At least 3 billion yen. And that in gold? Like 4 tons of gold, I think?" Nezu says. "Okay, get me 4 tons of anything." Enji tells his sidekick that can create bricks to make 4 tons of bricks. Suddenly, Nezu slaps Izuku, who was knocked out, saying, "Boy, wait, turn this entire thing to gold." Izuku is confused, saying, "Why? What? You know what? No!" Nezu whispers into Izuku's ear, "You know what? I guess I could just send you back into juvie for disobedience." Izuku sits up saying, All right, I get. He places his hand on the bricks and it turns to gold. Enji is shocked, saying, "What is this, kid?" Nezu doesn't even respond to that, just saying that they've got to get going, Enji. After a 1-hour limo drive, they arrive at UA. Nezu takes Deku to Aizawa, saying, "This boy is officially under your care, Shota. Unless I need him for gold, then he's mine again." Aizawa is shocked, not wanting to deal with a random problem child. He starts to object to having Izuku, but then Nezu says, "You expelled all your class, so you got nothing better to do." Now we get a 2-year time skip to where Izuku is 15. Hold on. That doesn't make sense. We get a time skip to where Izuku is 15. How old is he now? 13? How old did I say he was? Yeah, he's 13, so it is 2 years. No, that's my bad. So Izuku is 15, and Aizawa hasn't really been focused on Izuku's quirk. He's just been trying to get Izuku's IQ to over 6-year-old. And now he's currently at a 10-year-old IQ. We're so proud of you, Deku. We're so proud of you. It's the day of the UA entrance exam, and Aizawa is forcing Izuku to take the exam. But Izuku's throwing a temper tantrum, not trying to get up. He makes his body limp and says, I'm not going. Aizawa tells Izuku that it's not like you're doing the written exam because you'd fail that anyways. It's just the practical exam because there's no way in hell he'd pass the written exam. Izuku is at the exam, but when Mike says go, he's just standing there, not realizing, hold on, what? I'm meant to begin. Oh, Dad Zawa didn't tell me that ref. Suddenly, Mike says that Izuku needs to begin. Izuku starts touching robots like Zebo touching children, if you know what I'm feeling like. Because of the robots turning to gold, he starts touching the robots, and that turns the robots into gold. And Izuku haven't made a deal with Nezu that whenever he turns the robot into gold, he would get double the points. Izuku starts relentlessly touching robots. Yeah, he's touching them all over. 2 minutes before the exam is about to end, Izuku sees the 0 pointer, and he doesn't even want to touch it because he won't get any points from it. Nezu stops the robot before it steps on Uraraka. Nezu tells him that if he had gone for the 0-pointer, he would have gotten 100 points, but he didn't. So, I guess he didn't need them. Izuku throws a tantrum, but Aizawa shuts that up quickly. 2 weeks later, it is the first day of class of UA. Izuku was already there because, well, he lives with Aizawa. He is in class and everyone comes in, and they start doing the same things they do as in canon. And Izuku makes a few new friends, such as No, he doesn't make friends with Yaoyorozu. No, that's my bad. He makes friends. He makes friends with Kaminari and Kirishima, which indirectly makes him friends with Bakugo. That's like his squad, kind of. Yeah, that makes sense. So 2 weeks. Yeah. Oh no, I already said that. But the class is just chatting, until Aizawa tells them, "Can you shut up? Now, we're doing like a assessment test thing." And the Ochako says, "What about orientation?" And Aizawa tells her, "Shut your bitch ass up, ho." And he tells them, "Get in your gym uniforms." And they do as he says. They go outside, get in their gym uniforms. Aizawa calls Izuku for the ball throw, and since he tells Izuku to throw it with everything he got, Izuku gets something decent, but nowhere near the top, because Izuku only relies on his quirk, and he proceeds to do okay in every other part, but Izuku's pure average because of what his quirk does. After school, Momo walks up to Izuku and starts screaming at him to revert their dad back to normal, since she knows he can do that after she saw the old man being in his normal state during a press conference. Izuku says, "Who are you again?" And he just starts walking away, completely ignoring Momo. When she starts crying, but Izuku doesn't care at all because she didn't care about him when he was locked up in his room by their mom. So why would he care for her now? And so he leaves. He goes home and he straight up goes to sleep on his bed that he turned to gold because he can. Next week, they are in class and All Might comes through the door and everyone's hyped. He says, "Coming through the door like a normal person." And he tells everyone, "Get in your hero costumes, cause it's time for some 2v2 hero battles." And Izuku's hero costume is more just like how do I put this? Yeah, Izuku's hero costume is like it's just the suit Midas wears. Yeah, let's just do that. Yeah, that's cold. Yeah, Midas's suit is clean anyways. Yeah, Izuku's suit is the suit Midas wears. And then yeah, what happens next? What do I want to happen next? Oh yeah, I haven't scripted this, so it's kind of going off the fly. So Izuku's suit is the suit Midas wears. And okay, I know where to go. Guys. I know what I want to do. So Midas's suit, if you don't know, is just a slick grey suit with some golden accents at points. And they pick who they're going to be fighting via RNG, and it's Izuku and Uraraka as villains, versus Momo and Todoroki as heroes. Wow, look at this. As they're walking in, Ochako is trying to seduce Izuku since she's a gold digger, but Izuku has a 10-year-old IQ, so he doesn't realise that is what she's trying to do. In the bomb room, Ochako fake falls into Izuku's chest. He catches her, but he just pulls her upright, saying, "You good, girl?" There. Yeah. And anyways, Izuku's clueless about Ochako's intentions. But since Izuku and Ochako weren't paying attention when All Might said to begin, Momo and Todoroki burst into the room, and Todoroki freezes the floor, and Deku and Ochako are stuck, but Izuku just turns the ice to gold, and then he turns the gold to liquid gold. Ochako seeing the gold just faints while asleep, saying, "Smash." But, like, yeah, she just, like, she can't handle that much money. Izuku doesn't even know what that means. Like, he doesn't know what smash means. He jumps up, getting in a fighting position. Momo forms a staff, charging at her little bro, saying, "Turn this to gold, then!" Like, if you can, but I know you can't, you're weak. And Izuku says, "Okay, I'll turn it to gold if you really want me to." As Momo swings at him with the staff, Izuku catches it in his left arm, puts his right arm hand on it, and says, "Okay, gold now." And, well, it turns to gold. And then he says, "There you go, sis," in a very cheerful voice. Ochako wakes up, floating herself outside the ice gold thing. Yeah, it's ice or gold, I don't know. And she says, I'm gonna help you now, Deku." Izuku says, "Finally, you're not touching the building." He places, like, since Ochako's floating, he says, "Oh, you're not touching the building anymore. Finally, I can do this." Izuku places his hand down on the floor, just at the same time Todoroki stomps his foot, and half of the building starts turning to gold, while the other half ice. It's a race to see which substance will prevail, but the gold barely takes the lead, until it overpowers the ice. The whole building turns to gold, and since Momo and Shoto are touching it, they also turn to gold. All Might in a really salty voice, because he kind of hates Izuku. Yeah, I forgot to mention this. All Might is a Deku hater because he sees Izuku kind of as a villain, because he's refusing to turn his dad back to normal, which is kind of villainy. He says, "Villains team win," in a really salty voice. After the school day is over, Izuku is just about to head home to Aizawa's house, but Ochako accidentally walks into him. And she says, "Oh, sorry about that. Little me is so just clumsy." Izuku just says, "No worries." Ochako says, "How about I make it up to you by you coming over to my place for dinner?" Izuku says, "Let me ask my pops." He calls Aizawa, but he doesn't mention that his pops is Aizawa. And Aizawa says, he asks Aizawa if he can go over to a classmate's house, and Aizawa says, "Yeah, sure, just don't go turning the whole city to gold again." Keyword, again. Izuku says, "Sure, Dad." He tells Uraraka that his dad said he can go. Uraraka says, "Okay, that's so nice, come along." She also whispers to herself, "By the end of dinner, I'll be rich." Izuku says, "Did you say something?" She says, "No," and they go to her house. She starts cooking dinner with her planning what she's going to do to little old Izuku, and Izuku just being clueless. They have dinner, but what you probably don't know is that Izuku got knocked out by the dinner. She put sleeping pills in it. She drugged him. When he wakes up, he sees her in front of him. As he tries to get up, he's realised he's tied up to a chair. Ochako throws a book at him, saying, "Turn this to gold." But Izuku resists, throwing the book away as good as he can. She keeps throwing stuff at him, saying, "Turn this to gold now, boy." He's just trying to get an infinite money hat from Izuku. But now Izuku just breaks the rope. He's still strong. He's got decent physical aspects. And he says, "I'm not going to turn anything to gold for you." And we get into a fight scene between the two of them. Izuku's trying to turn certain things to gold to fight Ochako, and Ochako's trying to float Izuku. But a good portion of the stuff in Ochako's apartment are now gold. And she says, "Okay, you're free to leave. I've got all the gold I need for a good while." And she says, "Although, if you tell anyone about the fact I did this to you, I'll tell them your secret." There is no secret, though. But Izuku thinks that he might actually have a secret that Ochako knows, but Ochako does not know no secrets of Izuku, so yeah, it's just bait. Now, I want to do a time skip to them being on the bus to the USJ, and he looks to the back of the bus where he sees Ochako, and Ochako winks at him saying, "Don't forget, I know your secret." She does not know any secrets. But the class is still discussing who's the strongest, and Izuku's name is brought up, but not as heavily as some of the others. And suddenly, at the USJ during 13's long speech, like 13's speech was like saying was like reading the terms and conditions. Like, no one does that. Like, it's the equivalent of reading the cookies. So suddenly, Kirishima yells, "No, fake villains! That's so cool!" But 13 says, "We didn't get fake villains." Aizawa says, "Kids, stay back." But then Izuku says, "You're not doing this alone, Dad." Ochako's eyes widen. The dad? Aizawa's your dad? She starts to regret her life choices of drugging Izuku and trying to make him turn things to gold. Izuku, Kirishima, and Bakugo all charge in, leading to them. Well, they get teleported to different zones. Ida still leaves to get All Might. Izuku ends up in the ship place zone. As normal, he can't swim, he never learned how. Being trapped in his room for multiple years, he starts flailing around. Suddenly, Suyu wraps her tongue around him and takes him to the docks. They don't know what they'll do to get out, and since Izuku ain't smart, the plan is basically left up to Suyu because Mineta is useless. She tells Mineta to start making a bridge out of his balls, since the balls stick to each other, and that Izuku should turn Mineta's balls into gold, so that they can walk on it, since the balls will now be solid and will lose their bouncy effect. And they start walking across the tightrope-like bridge, Mineta in front, Izuku in back, turning the balls to gold. And, yeah. Then, a shark villain with water power. No, a villain that can turn water into different animals. He turns the water into shark. Now, I'm gonna be sorry, I wanted this to be a blood. I wanted this to have the villain be able to make blood sharks just to take a piss at Justo M for his Tuga and Anki video. Go watch it. It's actually peak, I can't deny that. But Izuku's ability in that was make sharks out of his blood, and that's just so sick. So, Izuku, with water powers, the shark villain sends a water shark. No, the water villain sends a water shark at Deku. Finally! You don't know how many clips I've tried doing that in. But Izuku turns the water shark into liquid gold, then starts manipulating it to begin attacking the OG creator. And this interaction creates a new idea, a new way that Izuku thinks he can use his quirk. And this new move just chills in Izuku's head. Maybe we'll see it later on. But as they get off that zone, Izuku sees Aizawa getting beat up by the Nomu. He yells, "Dad, I'm coming!" He runs in at the same time as Bakugo, Shoto, and Kirishima. He says, "Guys, make me an opening and I can end this with one attack." They start attacking, making a clear path for Izuku. He jumps up and slaps the Nomu right in its bold, brainy head, and it begins to turn to gold. And after that, he passes out from the shock. We time skip a few weeks, and Izuku finally wakes up in Recovery Girl's nurse's office. He's unsure of what happened. Recovery Girl tells him that he beat the Nomu and it is currently gold. Izuku nods his head. Since none of the bones of Izuku are broken and he just passed out from overusing his quirk, he's free to leave. When he re-enters the class though, Aizawa is in the middle of saying the UA Sports Festival is in a few days. Now, Izuku did have to go turn the Nomu back to normal so that they could try get intel out of it, but that's like just something random that happens in the middle. And then we time skip a few days to the UA Sports Festival. When Midnight is saying about who is given the speech, it should be, she says, Izuku Yaoyorozu, since Izuku did get the most points in the entrance exam for the practical part, since he got double from turning them to gold. But just as she says, Izuku Yaoyorozu, Aizawa bursts through the speakers saying, not to let him give the speech, give whoever was number 2 the speech. Izuku is a glorified idiot. So Bakugo does the speech, just with a, Then in the race, Izuku unveils his new move. He forms a liquid gold wolf creature thing. Hopefully I put it on screen. But yeah. And he begins to ride it, but instead of sitting, he stands on its back. The crowd is shocked. Alright, he's just standing on its back to aura farm. Like, he's got his arms tucked into his armpits. He's doing the Cristiano Ronaldo Sui, and he stands on his back, not moving, just aura farming all he can. And the crowd is shocked as the creature begins to run through the obstacles, dodging Todoroki's ice, and the robot's attacks, and Bakugo's explosions, and even more. It takes up a lot of Izuku's energy, so in the end, Izuku only comes first. No, Izuku only comes second, and, Izuku only comes second, and Todoroki comes first. In the cavalry battle, Ochaka asks Deku if they want to team up, but Izuku can't team up with her due to, before the remainder of when she, turned him to gold like that. Not, forced him to turn stuff to gold. So he teams up, but he does also want to team up with whoever was number one, which was Todoroki, who he already has a rivalry with. So he teams up with his good friends, Izuku, he teams up with his good friends, Izuku. Oh my gosh, I messed that up, Chaz. He teams up with his good friends, Izuku, 3 times. He teams up with his good friends, Todoroki. No, Todoroki's the one who came first. He teams up with his good friends, guys, I'll get it eventually. He teams up with his good friends, Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari. We got there in the end, guys. I know you're so proud of me. And, well, after all that, me trying to get the cavalry team, I hate this portion so much, and that just made me hate it even more. So we're skipping it. Just know they still return Millie from Todoroki, and yeah, that's it. No cavalry battles ever. And for the first fight, instead of fighting Shinso, he will be fighting his sister, Momo. But just before his battle with his sister, someone else comes in. Momo and his mum walk up to Izuku in his own personal room thing. They propose a deal to Deku. If Deku loses this fight, he has to turn their dad back to gold. Izuku doesn't really care, but he does say, what if he wins? What does he get? Their mum says, if Deku wins, they'll give him half of their family wealth legally, for they have nothing but riches. So Izuku's basically an infinite money glitch who's going to get more money if he wins, because he's getting half of the inheritance. And this piques Izuku's interests. And he says, you know what? Sure, I accept your deal. They shake on it. And Izuku turns his mum to gold. Momo starts yelling, because he shakes the hand with Izuku's mum. And, well, his mum's gold now. Momo starts yelling, and he says, joking, and he turns his mum back to gold. And we just cut to Momo and their mum in a personal changing room, and their mum is injecting Momo with drugs that have a lot of lipids, so that she could create a near infinite amount of items. Momo is screaming in pain, but no one can hear her. The battle finally begins. Izuku summons his liquid gold beast. Izuku summons his liquid gold beast and sends it into attack. It starts printing at Momo, but she forms a railgun and shoots a hole right through it. The beast evaporates, but before Izuku can contemplate, Momo starts shooting bullets at him. He pulls in the shoulder. He gets hit in the shoulder, and his golden blood starts pouring out. He screams in pain, and his brain decides it's time to unveil his second new move of the UA Sports Festival. Liquid gold starts pouring all around his body until it's basically covering him, until it hardens. It forms wings, flexible wings of gold. It forms his golden Valkyrie armor. Hopefully, there will be a picture on screen. No, I have to put a picture on screen for this one. And yeah, so he now has golden Valkyrie armor. He flies in and dashes at his sister. He forms a liquid gold sword and then hardens it. He slices Momo, his railgun, and yet she doesn't give up to the point of damaging herself. Every gun she makes or shield, Deku destroys it or turns it to gold. Momo finally gets a good shot on Izuku, knocking him back. But he's not done. His golden armor starts melting away. He just jumps. He just has his wings left, but he knows he can't lose to them. He flies up at his top speeds. He puts his arm out and his entire palm, and he sprints, his wings flapping. His hand makes contact with Momo's face. She begins to turn to gold, and she can just say, "Why, brother? Why turn father to gold?" Midnight yells, "Izuku Yaoyorozu wins!" The stadium cheers. And Izuku turns Momo back to human, he says, "I want my half now." And then we just get the announcement of what Izuku's next fight will be. His next fight will be against one of his rivals, Shoto Todoroki. So, I hope you're excited for the next part, y'all. 'Cause I am. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that video. I really enjoyed this one. Scripting this has been a blast. Even with some hiccups by Justo at points when he started editing the script. I won't tell you anything that happened there. But, yeah. I even made the thumbnail myself. This is a peak one, guys. So, yeah. Anyways, like, sub. Yes, sub especially. 500 sub race, as I said earlier, against Toby Fee. Yes, I said your name right. And what else is there to say but join the Discord, like, sub, noti bell. Peace. Praise the Lord, y'all.